Hello everyone. Today is an extra class of 1 hour in the London, the PA Professor Himanshu Kumar. So today we are going to learn. Now week 11 is going. Next week is the last class, and now the bacterial infection is going on. So is teaching. So next week we will move to fungal as well as parasitic infection. So today in 1 hour, I decided to uh, teach you about parasitic infections. There was no doubt this week. One doubt was there last week, which I tried to clear, but I couldn't understand the doubt itself, so I have posted. So if any doubt is there, you can ask anytime because the last class is next week only, so within 1 week only you have to ask. So let me begin by so today we are going to learn about parasitic infections. So these are the common parasites which you can see near our environment in the normally when you look from one place to another, you can actually visualize these parasites. These are very much like ticks, who are not tick-borne fever, it is a disease caused by these ticks. Lice, obviously, here if we have lice. And fleas also will be there under the bed. And these ones you all see in the road, roundworm, whipworm, hookworm, tapeworm. But obviously by seeing it, it is difficult to differentiate between all these worms. So these are the different types of parasites. Uh, Apart from these, there are many. parasites, but these are the most common ones which we see in our daily life. So, what is parasitism? Parasitism may be defined as a condition in which one organism, that is the parasite, either harms its host or in some way lives at the expense of the host. It affects millions of people worldwide and causes tremendous suffering and death, especially in less developed countries. So, parasitism means it is a like parasite. The word parasite itself means like it is living on something. It is living on a host. So what will happen? Either two conditions is there. It can harm the host or it can live at the expense of the host. So it can harm and cause disease in the host. It can cause cell death, or in some way it can live also inside the host because it wants to survive. In order to survive, it uses the host machinery, the host metabolite, the host everything inside the host cell, so that it can survive inside the host cell. So either it wants to, if it wants to live, it takes place, takes help of the host, or if it wants to harm, it can destroy the host cell. So there are millions, like millions people are affected by this parasite and they can cause tremendous suffering and death, especially in less developing countries. So some of the major parasitic diseases infecting humans and animals are out of two categories. One is those caused by protozoa and those caused by the helminths. So protozoa are the single cell organisms. One very famous example of the protozoa include this plasmodium species. Obviously, we all know that it causes malaria. Different kinds of plasmodium are there, and different kinds of malaria caused by these different kinds of parasites. Then these two types, like single cell protozoa, are single celled organisms composed of only one cell, and those are which are caused by the helminths, or they are the worms or the metazoa, which I showed here. These worms are the class of these helminths. So major protozoa parasites include Plasmodium, I told it is causing malaria. Then apart from this Entamoeba histolytica, which causes amoebiasis, there are species, Leishmania species, causing leishmaniasis. There are Trypanosoma species causing sleeping sickness and Chagas disease. So these are the different kinds of diseases caused by different kinds of parasites. Then these parasitic worms, which are the helminths, they live within the tissue outside of cells and have evolved a variety of infective and protective pathways involving complex glycoconjugates and their recognition. Some of the major parasitic helminths include nematodes such as Ascaris lumbricoides, trematodes such as Cystosoma mansoni, cystodes or triforms such as Taenia soli. So these are the different kinds of parasitic worms or helminths which can live inside our tissues and outside of cells. And they have evolved a lot of strategies to uh, like to infect as well as to protect themselves from the immune system. And there are complex glycoconjugates and their recognition. They have like our immune system can obviously recognize them by recognizing some glycoconjugates. And some of the major parasitic elements uh, which we see every day are the Ascaris lumbricoides and Cystosoma mansoni, which causes schistosomiasis, tapeworms or cystodes, and like Taenia solia, which causes teniasis. So, infection caused by parasites account for an enormous disease burden worldwide, especially in developing countries within tropical and subtropical regions. In this, local sanitation and living conditions are not ideal, including the spread of all types of infectious disease. So, as I already told, it is most prevalent in the tropical areas and the subtropical areas of the developing countries where it is not much hygienic, roads are not clean, or there is like water. There are cases where there are water logging, so which harbors these parasites, and they like like The idea is like you have to have a hygienic environment uh, so that these parasites cannot grow in them. Like mosquitoes were not mosquitoes. Like obviously this parasites will live in the water. So mosquitoes also grow in that water, so they can easily carry these parasites and the protozoa will cause different kinds of diseases. So many of these parasites can infect non-human primates and other mammals, allowing both human to human and animal to human spread. So many of the parasites can infect non-human primates. And there is like not like only human can transmit a particular disease to human. But when the zoonotic spread means it can pass from the animal to human also. So the term parasite, as I already told, encompasses a vast array of infectious protozoa. Protozoa are unicellular and metazoans include the helminths of the worms, and it is very difficult to generalize about the uh, uh, diversity is very much there in case of this protozoa, and it is difficult to generalize about the group. And there are some protozoa parasites. Uh, they are eukaryotic in nature, and they inhabit the intracellular spaces in their human host for at least one of their life cycle stages. So these parasites will can thrive on the host for years and without causing any disease also, but sometimes they can cause disease if they and whether they want to kill the cell, they like destroy the cells and they destroy the like the immune system also cannot recognize them sometimes because they have grown some strategies, and thus they survive for long with this strategy. So helminths are multicellular eukaryotes that can be quite large in their adult stages, up to 1 meter in length, and they typically live and reproduce outside the host cells, sometimes occupying host body cavities like the gut. Uh, since the helminths are mostly the worms, so they are quite long in their nature. So they are like about 1 meter in length, and they can survive outside the host cell. And they this extracellular cavity sometimes they inhabit like the gut. तो डॉक्टर एन महालक्ष्मी कौन है? पता नहीं डॉक्टर एन महालक्ष्मी कोई और क्या है? Uh, so one of the biggest challenges posed to the immune response by most parasites is their complicated life cycle, leading to changes in antigenic structure and location over time. Therefore, the most effective immune response will depend on the type of organism, their location of infection, and also the life cycle stage of the parasite. So, the life cycle is quite complicated and it is different for every kind of parasite, and there can be change in antigenic structure also in location over the time. So and our immune system and our immune response also depends on the type of organism or the location of infection and the life cycle stage of the parasite. So these are the basically the division of these parasites. There are protozoa, there are helminths. So protozoa are unicellular and they belong to the kingdom Protista, and helminths are multicellular and they belong to the kingdom of Animalia. So protozoa can be divided into many types like amoeba, flagellates, sporozoa, ciliates. Amoeba, as I told, cause amoebiasis, and it is like Entamoeba nugellaria. There are different kinds of species under this. Then flagellates include which bear the flagella, like example is Giardia or Trichomonas. Then sporozoa include this Toxoplasma, Plasmodium, Babesia, and then the ciliates include the Balantidium. These helminths can be divided again into three types like nematodes, cystodes, and trematodes. The nematodes include the Ascaris and Xylostoma. Cystodes include Taenia and Echinococcus. Trematodes include Fasciola cystosoma. So these are the broad classification of the parasites, in which the major groups are helminths and the protozoa. So these are the some worldwide distribution of some major parasitic diseases. Like here you can see estimated infections caused by this helminths as well as the protozoa. Like for example, in case of helminths, it is roundworm or ascaris, then schistosomiasis, and hookworms like ancylostoma, whipworm like Trichuris, filarial worms, then pinworm or threadworms. So these are like most of the infections are caused by these filarial worms as well as the roundworms. Then the estimated death is also very much. This is a World Health Report of 2000, and there are deaths of about 14,000, 20,000 to 50,000 in case of filarial worms. Then in case of parasitic protozoa, there are, you can see in case of malaria, there is 300 to 500 millions of people who were affected with deaths of about 1 to 3 millions. Then apart from this malaria, there are other diseases like leishmaniasis, river blindness or onchocerciasis, sleeping sickness or African trypanosomiasis, and Chagas disease, which is South American trypanosomiasis. So all these affects millions and millions of people, and there are reported deaths of this much, like 1 to 3 million in case of malaria. Then uh, this river blindness cause blindness in people, which cause death of about 2,70,000 people. Then you can understand how these parasites can actually kill people. Then apart from this, these are the major parasitic protozoa of humans. For example, amoeba, which infects humans. These are entamoeba histolytica, which cause amoebic dysentery. It can cause liver abscesses with intestinal and skeletal flagellate, which are caused by giardia and trichomonas. So this giardia causes diarrhea, and it is one of the most common parasites in North America. And then trichomonas cause inflammation of reproductive organ, and it is very much common. Um, then apart from this, there are hemoflagellates, which includes Leishmania, L. mexicana, L. major. These are all Leishmania. Uh, and this Leishmania donovani cause Kala Azar and hepatosplenomegaly, in where there is enlargement of liver and spleen. Then this Mexicana cause fulminating cutaneous ulcers. Then this major also cause cutaneous ulcers. Then there is trypanosoma brucei, which causes sleeping sickness in humans and nagana in cattle, and it is known as African trypanosomiasis. Then there is trypanosoma cruzi, which causes Chagas disease, which is the South American trypanosomiasis. Then there are other things like other diseases like Gregorian's coccidia and related organisms like Plasmodium, as everyone knows. Plasmodium falciparum, which is a major cause of human malaria. Then there are other kind of Plasmodium species like Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium ovale, Plasmodium malaria, which also cause human malaria. Apart from this, there are certain opportunistic infection which affects the immunodeficient people like Toxoplasma gondii. It can cause muscle pain, then pneumocystis carinii can cause interstitial cell pneumonia, then Cryptosporidium parvum, which causes diarrhea and it is an intracellular parasite of intestinal cell. So these are the major parasites which affects the human liver protozoans. And then comes the major parasitic helminths which affects the mammals. So there are different parasites like nematodes, for example, blood fluids, mainly the cystosoma species. For example, the Mansoni causes the human schistosomiasis. It affects the mesenteric veins, draining large intestine. Then hematobium, which affects the urinary bladder plexus. Then Japonicum, which affects the mesenteric veins in the small intestine. Then comes the liver fluids, for example, Fasciola hepatica, which primarily will infect the ruminants and sometimes the humans. These are the worms which live in biliary tract. Then Clonorchis sinensis, is one of the most prevalent liver fluke in humans, and it can be acquired by eating raw fish. Then the other cystos include the Teniasolium, Echinococcus granulosus, Tenia rhynchus saginatus. So Teniasolium is a long human tapeworm. It can be acquired by eating undercooked pork. The Echinococcus is a shorter human tapeworm, again acquired by eating undercooked lamb. Uh, the parasite will cause corn cysts, which can occur in liver and elsewhere. Then Tinea rhynchus sagitatus, which is a long human tapeworm occurred by eating undercooked beef. Then the new nematodes include Ascaris lumbricoides, is one of the most common intestinal roundworm found in humans. Then trichuda, which is another intestinal rootworm in humans. Then Enterobius vermicularis, which is a tiny intestinal roundworm which causes perianal night itch in children. Then there is Necator americanus, which is an intestinal hookworm of humans. It causes anemia. And Ancylostoma duodenale, which also again is an intestinal hookworm of humans, which cause anemia. Then Strongyloides stereodermis, which causes auto-infection. It is also an intestinal parasite. And then there is Pneumocus concertus, which is an intestinal parasite of sheep and goats. So these are the main common helminths. Apart from this, there are many other protozoa helminths also which can infect the mammals and as well as the humans. So this African trypanosomiasis, which is also known as the African sleeping sickness, is a disease caused by a parasite. But people get this parasite when they are infected by a septic fly. Uh, like when there is a fly named as tsetse, which bites the human and it carries that parasite, and this parasite will then like the trypanosoma parasite it will contain, and it can infect human by biting them. Then the symptoms include fatigue, high fever, headache, muscle aches, and if it is not treated correctly, then it might also lead to death. So there are two species of African trypanosomes: a protozoa parasite which causes African sleeping sickness, a chronic debilitating disease transmitted to humans and cattle by the bite of this specific tsetse fly. In the bloodstream, if this flagellated protozoa enters, it differentiates into a long, slender form that continues to divide every 4 to 6 hours. This disease progresses from an early systemic stage in which trypanosomes multiply in the blood to a neurological state in which the parasite infects cells of the central nervous system, leading to meningoencephalitis and eventual loss of consciousness. And so, this name was given like the African sleeping sickness because it can go and infect the cells of our CNS of the central nervous system, and then there is loss of this consciousness, and people cannot they cannot understand or they cannot recognize anything, and there will be enlargement of the brain. So thus the name was given like sleeping sickness, and there is there is an interesting fact about this parasite, trypanosoma parasite, is that the surface of this trypanosoma parasite is covered by a specific glycoprotein, surface glycoprotein, or PSG. This PSG, there are different uh, VSGs which are present in this trypanosoma, and several unusual genetic processes generate extensive variation in the surface structures, enabling the organism to escape the immunologic clearance. So there are many VSGs which are present, and there are much antigenic shifts in this structure of this due to the genetic processes which occur in this particular type of protein, which allows the organism to escape the immunologic clearance. So, an individual trypanosoma carry a large repertoire of VSV genes, and each will encode a different type of VSV from the other one. So, but it is shown that only one type of VSG, or the variable surface glycoprotein, will be expressed. Only one VSG will be expressed at one time. So, uh, there is a large variation, and every time a particular trypanosoma is infecting, there will be different kinds of VSG which are expressed, so it can easily bypass our immune system. For example, one trypanosoma brucei can carry more than 1000 VSG gene in its genome, and then activation of a VSG gene results in duplication of the gene and its transposition to the transcriptionally active site at the telomeric end of a specific chromosome. And so, whenever there is a expression of one VSG, next time it will express a different VSG. So this different VSG will go and transpose or translate it to a different a site where it will be transcriptionally active at the telomeric end of a specific chromosome. So activation of a new VSG will displace the previous gene from the telomeric ES. Trypanosomes have multiple transcriptionally active ES sites, so that a number of VSG genes can be potentially expressed. Unknown control mechanism limit expression to a single VSG expression site at any time. So one VSG will replace the other one, but there are more than one VSG genes which can be expressed, and there are multiple transcription active expression sites. And however, it is not known uh, like what actually controls the expression of a single VSG gene at any time. So this is the diagram. So this is a diagram which shows that there are different kinds of VHG. The surface glycoprotein like the VHG1, VHG2, VHG3, VHG4, in VHGN, and this is the expression site. And here VHG1 is expressing. So it is forming a parasite where the VHG1 is expressed at the surface. But then in the what happens, some kind of duplication and translocation occurs inside the like the genes, the genetic material, where this BHG2 can go and replace this BHG1 in the expression site, which will again result in the formation of another new uh, parasite with the different kind of glycoprotein, that is BHG2. Then again this VHG3 will go and replace this VHG2 and another type of VHG3 is VHG3 parasite is formed. So this is also similar to the influenza, like there are antigenic shifts which occur in these trypanosomes by the duplication of gene segments encoding variant VHG molecules and the translocation to an expression site located close to the telomere. And what happens every time a particular parasite infects, then new kind of antibodies are generated against this all variants. For example, here at variant 1, variant 2, variant 3. In this case, this blue color, then if this blue color is infecting the infecting us, then antibodies will develop against this variant. But whenever there is an infection by a second variant, then that blue color antibody won't work against that second variant. Then another one new kind of antibody will be generated. Then when there is a third infection by a different variant, like this green variant, then that both the antibodies will not work, and then again a new kind of antibody will be formed. Like so, every time antibodies develop against each variant, the number of these parasites rise, but each new variant that arises is unaffected by our humoral antibodies induced by the previous variant. So, so you can understand that how it can affect or it can bypass our uh, immune system by creating different and different types of variants, different kinds of variants. So, as parasite number is increasing after infection, effective humoral response develops to the VHG covering the surface of the parasites. So, these antibodies eliminate most of the parasites from the bloodstream, both by complement-mediated lysis and by opsonization and subsequent phagocytosis. And about 1% of the organisms bear an antigenically different VHG because of transposition of a different VHG gene into the ES. These parasites escape the initial antibody response, then begin to proliferate in the bloodstream and go on to populate the next wave of parasitemia in the host. So, when there is a infection by a different variant, most of these parasites escape the initial antibody response and they will begin to proliferate in the bloodstream and it can go on to populate the next wave of parasitemia in the host. So the successive waves of parasitemia reflect the unique mechanism of antigenic shift by which they sequentially evade the immune response to their surface antigen. Success. Each each new variant that arises in the course of a single infection thus can escape with the humoral antibodies that are generated in case of the previous infection, and so there are waves of parasitemia that can recur in this, and so a single person can get infected by different types of variants of this trypanosoma, and it can lead to different kinds of diseases, uh, and the humoral antibodies cannot recognize the previous kind of the variant. So the new variants arise not only by clonal outgrowth from a single escape variant cell, but from the expansion of multiple cells that have activated the same VSV gene in the current wave of parasitic growth. However, it is not known how these processes coordinated. So when there is more and more production of these variants in the cell, it can happen that all the different kinds of from which are producing a single VSV at its surface, so it can happen that the other kinds of other parasites which are formed inside the cell have can activate the same VSV gene, or they can activate different kinds of VSV gene on their surface, and thus it can cause uh, different kinds of variants. So the parasitic ones or the helminths typically generate weak immune response. For example, the metazoa parasites of the helminths are responsible for a range of diseases in humans and animals. The adult former helminths are large. They are multicellular organisms that can often be seen with the naked eye. You can easily see these kinds of worms with our naked eye in the surroundings. And three types of uh, three types of parasitic worms are nematodes, cystodes, and trematodes. Nematodes are the roundworms. The cystodes are the tapeworms, and trematodes are the flukes. So here we already saw roundworms are the ascaris, and then the uh, these roundworms, cystodes are the tapeworms, and trematodes are the flukes. So most of these flukes enter their animal host through the intestinal tract, and helminth eggs can also contaminate food, water, species, and soil. Some, like cystosomes, are transmitted directly through the skin. So they mostly these can enter the animal host to the intestinal tract because they will lay eggs on this contaminated food, water, feces, and soil. And some, like for example, the cystosome, they can directly uh, can be passed through the skin. So schistosomiasis, it is having low antigenicity and large size, which pose unique challenges to immune detection and elimination of helminths. So there are it is another now we were studying about the PhD about the African trypanosomiasis called very fly of the parasite trypanosoma. But after this, there are others also like diseases like this is one disease which is known as schistosomiasis. It is having low antigenicity, low large size, and so that it has there are unique challenges to immune detection and elimination of helminths. So more than 300 million people are infected with the helminth parasite Schistosoma species, which causes the chronic debility and sometimes fatal disease schistosomiasis. So this disease, as you can see here, has affected almost 200 million of people with 14,000 deaths reported in 2000. So the infection of the cystosoma is caused through contact with free-swimming infectious larvae that are released from an infected snail and go into the skin frequently while individuals move through the contaminated water. And when this matures, the parasites can migrate in the body with the final site of infection varying by species. The female produce eggs, some of which are excreted and infect more cells. So this is a disease which is spread from the snail into the human, and through contact with free swimming infectious larvae, one can get affected by this cystosome. Then, uh, as they mature, when this larva matures, then this my parasites will migrate into the body, and it will differ from one species to another where they are like infected. Then the female produce eggs, some of which are excreted, and it will infect more and more number of cells, which will again infect the other humans. So most symptoms of cystosomiasis are initiated by eggs, which invade the tissues and cause hemorrhage. A chronic state can develop in which the unexcreted cell aids induce cell-mediated leakage reaction, resulting in large granuloma that can obstruct the venous blood flow to the liver or bladder. So, these unexcreted eggs can cause DTH or delayed type of hypersensitivity reaction, and there can be formation of these granulomas like we saw in TB. A granuloma will be formed which can obstruct the blood flow to the liver or the bladder. So this is the immune response which is generated against Cystosoma mansoni. The response includes an IgE humoral component and a cell-mediated component involving CD4 T cells. And C means complement, CF is neutrophil phenotypic factor, NCF is neutrophil phenotypic factor, TF is platelet activity factor. So here you can see this is a plasma cell which is secreting IgE specific antibodies, IgE antibodies. Then this is a mast cell, and this IgE is binding to the Fc receptors present on the mast cell. So this when this is binding, so there is ECF or neutralizing phenotypic factors which are produced. Then the eosinophils are attracted towards this adult one. Here, this IgE also binds to the eosinophil Fc receptor of the eosinophil. Then these are the platelets which are also activated by this NCF or the neutrophil phenotypic factor, which then activates this platelet as well as the eosinophil, which then can express the Fc receptors, which then will interact with the antibody. Then this antibody will go and bind to the surface proteins of this adult one. Then this neutrophil will again produce some platelet activating factor, which will induce the production of some mediators, which will cause the inflammation. Then there are also complements which are produced. For example, CG and C5 are produced, and they will form the help in the formation of that membrane attack complex, and they can also engage with mast cells. Then here also we can see there is TH1 response, which is producing IFN gamma. There is chemotaxis and through which there is movement of these cells into the tissue space to the capillary, and then these are the macrophages which are moving through the tissue space, and they to the process of extravasation. they can enter into the space and they can interact again with the Fc receptors or the CCD, which leads to opsonization of this adult world. And here you can see this is also containing the Fc receptor where the IgE is binding and it is interacting with the worm. Then this mast cells will also secrete the mediators which will attract this macrophages to come into the picture. So these are the basic immune response which is generated against the schistosoma mentioning, and mainly it involves the IgE humoral component and a cell-mediated component involving CD4 T cells. So any kind of question is there, you can ask. If any kind of doubt is there. Okay, so if the doubt is there, then we come to the malaria. We all know about malaria and the effect of malaria. So malaria is a life-threatening disease which is spread from humans by some type of mosquitoes. So the vector is the mosquito which carries the parasite to the human. And it is mostly found in the tropical countries. It is called parasite and does not spread from person to person. It is not contagious. It will not spread from one person to another. The symptoms of malaria can be mild and life-threatening. And the mild symptoms include fever, chills, and headache. And the severe symptoms include fatigue, confusion, seizures, and difficulty in breathing. So malaria is another common disease which can be seen in the tropical countries. For example, our country also, like there are high cases of malaria which happens, and mostly in a particular season. Then there are different kinds of symptoms, and the symptoms will include fever, chills, and headache, and mostly it will is caused by a parasite of the plasmodium, and different kinds of plasmodium cause different kinds of malaria. Different kinds of malaria. Most common one is the virus, bacterial virus, which causes the most common malaria. So this is the life cycle of the mosquito and how it infects the humans. For example, this is the first one infected mosquito is having a blood meal. Then what happens while it injects the spores of the parasite into the hepatocyte, so then mostly first type to get affected is the liver cells. Then it leads to the formation of this cell zone, which then bursts and then forms this, uh, then they release this medulla. Here, this is a red blood cell and it goes and directly infects the erythrocyte, after which there is a stage which is known as trophocyte, which forms a season, and again it takes these codes get released, and it takes about 48 hours. Then after trophocyte, there is a formation of the gametocyte. Then there is a macrogametocyte and the microgametocytes formation. This again, if the blood is the mosquito takes the blood from the infected person, again this micromegacyte and macromegacyte enter into the system, and there is fertilization and result in the formation of zygote. This then, it then releases the, which then forms the zygote, and which then forms this pooch which goes and binds to this midgut wall of the mosquito. After 8 to 15 days, there is transformation and sporogenesis, and this oocyst again releases this sporozoites here, which are then again collected by the mosquitoes. So this is a cycle which is followed by the mosquito, and this is how it gets spread from one person to another. So mostly this malaria is a disease, but which occurs in our mainly during the rainy season, due to the more and more number of these parasites, growth of these parasites as well as the mosquitoes, especially in areas where it is not that much clean, or there are water, like water logging, when this case of malaria increases, and that is all for the parasitic infection. Then, if anyone is having any doubt, then they can ask or they can post in the portal also. Since 1 week only is left, so within Tuesday, everyone, or within next Friday, everyone should post about their house. So, thank you, everyone, for listening to us. We are having doubt any practice or any opinion, they can post or they can mail also. So,